So did Henry Paulson and Ben Bernanke put a gun to Bank of America head Ken Lewis to buy Merrill last January, early January, December? Tough story. CNBC's Mary Thompson joins us now with the details. Mary, the more that comes out of this thing, the more dramatic it gets.
It certainly has been a dramatic day. A lot of he said going back and forth today, Larry. But it all started in a letter and documents that were sent to regulators and lawmakers today by New York Attorney General Andrew Cuomo. He says that his probe of bonuses paid to Merrill Lynch, those billions in bonuses paid to Merrill employees, found facts raising questions about the transparency of TARP and disclosures or lack thereof by Bank of America. Cuomo says the facts of his probe show that at the behest of Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke, former Treasury Secretary Hank Paulson told Ken Lewis he and his board might lose their jobs if they told shareholders about the mounting losses at Merrill Lynch, something regulators feared would derail the deal's closing on January 1st and throw the financial system into greater turmoil. Now, the Fed says no one at the central bank advised Bank of America on disclosure issues. And in a report in the Wall Street Journal, the report says that Bernanke told Lewis to consult his counsel about disclosures. Lastly, through a spokesman, Paulson said Bernanke didn't ask him to indicate any specific action to Lewis. So the question is, did Lewis fail in his fiduciary duty by not disclosing the losses to shareholders, preventing them from stopping a deal that many don't like? In testimony taken by the AG's office, Lewis was asked if he had considered resigning in December after the alleged threat, and he replied, quote, "No, I didn't. I thought it was in the best interest to go forward as I had been instructed." Now, Lewis faces a fight at the bank's annual meeting next week. Investors voting against Lewis's re-election to the board told CNBC they aren't swayed by the probe's suggestion he may have been strong-armed into the Merrill deal. The investors say his first duty was to protect shareholders. Larry?
Mary, I'm not supposed to talk to you for the producers are yelling at me, but I want to clarify something because you've done some great work all day on this, and I want to get this out. First of all, my partner in the morning, Melissa Francis, said, you know what? Ken Lewis looked down the barrel of the gun of that acquisition and realized the losses were huge. And they decided to go back and try to get what is called a material adverse event clause to call it off, whereupon Paulson basically put another gun to his head and said, you pull that, partner, you pull out of this deal, partner, and you're toast and your board is toast. Is that a credible scenario? Is that what happened from the Cuomo tapes?
Certainly, if you look at the testimony that Lewis gave, he did, the deal was passed by shareholders on December 5th. On December 14th, he was saying the losses at Merrill were rising from $9 billion earlier forecast to $12 billion. He goes to the board, says, we're thinking of doing this MAC clause, basically the material adverse change. He tells Paulson. Paulson's like, whoa, let's talk. Paulson comes back and suggests strongly that he wants to go ahead with the deal. But again, Lewis also got confirmation, or I should say assurances from the government at that time that they would provide financial aid to Bank of America to help it absorb the losses once the deal went through.
More TARP, more guarantees. That was the payoff, tit for tat, in effect.
It appears to be that way. And again, there was also an understanding by Lewis, according to the testimony, that while this might hurt shareholders in the near term, over the long term, 2 to 3 years, the Merrill deal might still be a good one for B of A shareholders.
Well, it might turn out to be, actually. Mary Thompson, thank you for your great work. I really appreciate it. All right, now, let me segue from this to the more general question. Is President Obama the best president ever? 100 days into it, that's what his supporters are saying. Here now, CNBC contributor Governor Howard Dean, former governor of Vermont, former Democratic National Committee chairman. I had the pleasure of meeting Mr. Dean